All right, welcome everyone. We are here for a very special event. This event is called It Is Already Done. And I like what Roddy put in the chat box there. He says, what does it's already done look like to you? In fact, I suspect that you may be wondering, what in the world is that? It is already done. What is it and what is done? Well, it means your goals, your dreams, your desires. What would you love? What would you absolutely love? And that is what it is referring to. And that's going to make a whole lot more sense as we dive deeper into this webinar, into this presentation today. So, what I'd like you to do is make sure that you stay engaged. I will be asking you questions throughout. We're going to get some engagement here, and I am available to take your questions as well. In fact, as we're going along, if you do have a question, you can certainly type it in the chat box. What we do is we'll watch for those questions, we'll pull them out, and I'll either address them as we're going along or I'll address them when we get to the point of our open Q&A time. All right, so we're going to have approximately 2 hours together. And the first hour is going to be primarily presentation, and then I'm going to open up for discussion, dialogue, laser coaching, addressing questions, in any way that it's going to serve you so that you are producing better results in your life. Because I suspect that is the reason why you came here today. Well, it's certainly the reason why I created this presentation for you. And I just want to honor you and express my gratitude and appreciation for you trusting in the time that you're investing with me, trusting in my knowledge and my experience. You know, as you probably know, I've been studying success now for almost 50 years. I know some of you haven't even been on the planet that long. And so a long time, it's not that I'm a slow learner at all. It's that I love the materials. And the reason why I love the materials is because they are helpful. They can change your life. They can help you live a better life. They can help you manifest anything that you desire. And it is absolutely true that you have such tremendous power within you that you can manifest anything that your heart desires. So that's what we're really going to be looking at. Now, I want to ask you this question, and please type in the chat box your response. Do you ever feel like you've been doing everything right? You're doing the visualization, maybe you're doing the affirmations, journaling, gratitude, whatever that may be, and you're still wondering why it isn't working for me. Has anyone had that experience? Type in the chat box if you feel like you've been doing all the things right, and yet for some reason you're just not quite there yet. Or you feel that maybe something's missing, or it could be that there's a block there and you're not even aware of what that is. Okay, great. Thank you. I really appreciate the honesty. Thank you, guys. It's so important to be honest. Jerry says sometimes, okay. Good. Less often now, but still happens, says Michelle, for sure. And I understand that Michelle's a very serious student. Regina says, yes, lately I ask myself a lot. Okay. Now we can ask ourselves that question, but with the energy of the desire to get the answer, right? To find out. And today might be that day. This next hour, maybe the next hour where you get that answer that you've been looking for. Maybe it's a clarification of something that you've already been exposed to. Maybe it's a deeper understanding. Maybe it's an example, because I'm going to show you some of those as well. But nonetheless, if you've ever felt like something is just missing, or you are, doing the things that you feel are valuable, that should be contributing to your success, but yet it's elusive. Those results just aren't there. Or maybe what sometimes happens for people is that the results are worse. And I've seen this happen as well. In fact, I was chatting with someone about this recently, that I have observed people getting into this study of personal growth and self-development, and then they find themselves, just all consumed in it. They've spent the money, they bought the course, and course after course after course, perhaps even going to live events, buying all the books, listening to the audios, and they get to a point where they feel even more frustrated than they were before. Now, I know I've been there, not there now, but I've been there, so I understand what that feels like. In fact, I think it was around 1994 where I came to a very untrue conclusion, and that was, it's a false conclusion, and that was that this stuff doesn't work. Well, the materials absolutely work. It's the individual. And this event, It Is Already Done, is all about alignment. It's about the genuine feeling that you can choose to embrace and accept as your own truth, even when there's no evidence of it in sight, that what you desire is already done. It is already done. We're gonna talk deeper about that as we dive, further and further into this presentation. So thank you. That was great. I really love that you're engaged and that you're addressing the question. But here's what I absolutely know for certain. It is rarely about effort, meaning manifestation is rarely about the effort. It's not that we have to force these things to happen or create, with extreme effort, the results that we want. It is about alignment. In fact, the more relaxed you are while you're doing the activities, the better the energy is, which means the better the attraction is for you. So when you think about something that you would love, not having any idea how you're going to get there, it's not a matter of holding on for dear life and just praying like, oh, please, please, please. That actually pushes it away. And the reason is because the energy is not aligned. Your energy is not aligned. So that really is what this event is about. It's about you, your energy, your desires, and getting in harmony with it. And more importantly, staying in harmony with it, even when you don't have any clue how you're going to accomplish it. So I think for some people, that might be really good news, right? Like, oh my goodness, I don't have to put in more effort. Well, there's discipline required for sure, but it really does down to manifestation comes down to alignment. And yes, there will be a replay as well. Absolutely, there's going to be a replay. So it will be done after we deliver it. So the willingness must be there. So are you willing to be honest with yourself? Now, these are questions I want to ask you. Are you willing to be honest with yourself? Type in the chat box if you're willing to be honest with yourself. Type in if you're willing to be honest. You see, this is really important to be honest with yourself, not from a place of judgment, but simply from a place of awareness. Awareness can be exceedingly valuable to you, and it can be valuable to you even when you're looking at areas in your life that you may be in your own way. You may be literally the reason why your manifestations haven't happened. Because if we're not willing to be honest with ourselves and we're not willing to take a good look at that without judgment, then you will remain stuck, remain bound. The second question is, are you willing to make the necessary changes to live your life the way you want to live it? Because there are always changes, and it might be slight, it might be subtle. Like, let's use an example. Earlier, when Dr. Michelle Snyder answered the question, she said sometimes, right? Sometimes. Why did she say sometimes? Because she's a very serious student, exceedingly disciplined, and she is doing the work and very willing to do the work. But sometimes we have to make some subtle changes. And I'm going to give you some examples of that from my own life that really illustrate the point on when we need to be aware of if or when we're blocking our own success, and more importantly, what we can do about it. So are you willing to roll up your sleeves and do the work? Now, again, we're not talking about forceful work or difficult work or whatever, but are you willing to do the work? I think back to a number of years ago when Byron Katie was, pretty well known in the space of personal growth and self-development, and she created a program called The Work. And I thought it was such a fabulous name, a brilliant name to call it, because the work is really what you do beyond the seminar. It's what you do during the seminar. It's what you do every day, all day. It's how you're living your life and the energy that you're choosing to express as a predominant way of being. You see, Neville Goddard, who's one of the great master teachers, has said that it's really the predominant energy that you express is the one that's going to be returned to you. So what does that really mean? It means that you will have times when you're feeling good. I'm going to simplify it, which I love to do, really simplify things. There's going to be times when you're feeling good, and there's going to be times when you're not feeling good. And so when you're feeling good, you're attracting good. And when you're feeling bad, you're attracting bad. It really is as simple as that. So what do we need to do as it relates to that? Well, we need to have the awareness to notice when we're off track, when we're not feeling good. and then making decisions and choices that will put us right back on track. And I find that one of the most valuable ways to explain this is with examples. So I'm going to give you some examples, and I'm certain in your own life, you very likely have other examples as well, things that you've done, challenges that you've overcome, goals that you've set, and you magnificently achieved them. And you did it with great ease and looked, when you got to that point, you look back and you found yourself going, wow, isn't that fascinating that it worked, and it worked for you, because it does work, and it does work for anyone. This whole manifestation process works for anyone. But I started this webinar asking that question about, do you feel like you've been doing the work, but you're not seeing the results? Because I have observed many people and went through that experience early on when I first began studying personal development, of feeling like I was doing everything that I needed to do. And ignorance is not bliss, which I quickly discovered. And the truth was that what I wasn't doing is being aligned. What I wasn't doing was being, which meant I wasn't being aligned as my dominant way of being. So in other words, I may have been doing my goals and reading my goal card every day and doing gratitude and visualizing, etc., but it would be only for a relatively short period of time throughout the day. And then the rest of the day, I would go back to feeling stressed or feeling anxious or feeling doubtful or worrying. And all of that is simply destructive. I think about the great analogy is where we plant seeds and we put them in the ground. The intention is to grow something wonderful. It could be a vegetable, it could be a fruit. We plant the seed and we nourish it and we give it the nutrients that it needs to manifest. We trust that the universe is going to provide as well. And then it starts to pop through. Maybe there's a sprout that comes through the ground, and then it's not fast enough. So what people tend to do, and I've done this myself, is go there and like pull on it and go like, where are you, goal? Why are you not here yet? And it simply means that the gestation period has not elapsed for that particular seed to manifest into the form, which means it is done. And so quite often there's some confusion around, am I doing the work or I'm not doing the work? Is it the gestation period or not the gestation period? So if someone asks me the question, like, how do I know? And it may be a question that you're thinking of right now. How do I know if I'm really in alignment consistently, or whether it's simply the gestation period of time? And the answer to that question is, by how you feel. Like if you find yourself feeling doubtful more often than you're having the faith, then you're out of alignment more than you are in alignment. Now, the best way to really notice this is to track it, like to track your level of energy. And this I teach about in my programs like the Mind Conditioning Mastery. This is something that I wrote about in my newest book, my 25th book, called The Moment of Alignment. And this is really, when I think back in my career where things really, really took a quantum leap, it was when I had the realization that it wasn't the materials at all that was the challenge. It was simply me not being aligned more consistently. So for those of you that haven't quite yet seen your manifestations manifest into your life, it could be that you just need to get better at alignment. It could be something as simple as that. All right. It really does come down to that. So if you did nothing at all, and this is, a lot of people in the world, they have their prayers, the hopes, the wishes that something's going to happen or that their life will improve, but they're doing nothing about it. In other words, there's no effort. Now, if you did nothing at all, no improvement whatsoever, no effort, didn't acquire any more knowledge, which improves your awareness, where do you think you'd be 1 year from now? I want to ask you that question sincerely. Where do you sincerely think you would be 1 year from now if you did nothing? All right, let's look at what some of the answers are. I'd be going backward. Yes, okay. Where I am now, says Sharon. Okay. Same place as now, says Regina. Same place or even backwards, says Jackie G. Okay. All right. In a desperate situation, worse than today. Right. Yeah. Yes, this for years. Same place. Would be drifting along in life. Stuck. Worse situation. Same or worse. Same place or backwards. Stuck. Okay. So the right answer to that question is what you wrote actually in the chat box, but likely worse because nothing stays the same. Absolutely nothing stays the same. And if you have a life right now where you have undesirable results and you continue to reside in that energy, it will get worse. It absolutely will get worse because it's what we give our attention to, what we focus on that expands. All right. So that question was put into this particular webinar, not to scare you, but to have you have that awareness. You see, I believe that we can choose to have an attitude of welcoming for everything that can help us improve our lives, even if at some level it might hurt or sting a little bit. That's okay. Because when we have that recognition of accepting that that is just the way it is, and also knowing this, and this is really important, that you have a new moment, and that moment is right now. And that moment is a new opportunity. And every moment is a new opportunity. And that opportunity is for you to create something extraordinary in your life because you have the ability to do that. You have the ability to do anything that you want as well. Now, Lily wrote something absolutely brilliant in the chat box. I feel my challenges are generational. And that is very much the truth. I love that she wrote there. And I love what Jerry just wrote as well. I want to talk a little bit about what Lily wrote in the chat box. She says, I feel my challenges are generational. Now, why is that true? Well, it's true because our minds have two very important parts. Our conscious mind, which is our reasoning mind, which is wide open and ready to receive or reject. We have the ability to reject ideas. But as a child, we didn't have that ability. So everything that was said to us and told to us went right into our subconscious mind. So we have the conscious mind, then we have the subconscious mind. The subconscious mind is the depth of who you are. The subconscious mind is where your beliefs are held. That's where your beliefs were created. So when you were a child, all the things that you took in through your senses, senses being sight, mostly hearing, all the things that you took in made an impression in your subconscious mind and will always be a part of you. That's part of Robert Collier's teachings from The Secret of the Ages. It will always be a part of you. Now, I don't know about you guys, the way you were raised, but I was raised in a very, let's say, I was going to say destructive, but a very challenging environment where it wasn't positive. It was quite the opposite. It was a very negative environment. Call it abusive if you want, dysfunctional, and we can label it whatever we want. But I don't have an emotional attachment to that other than I'm grateful for that understanding because I can understand what it feels like to have to rebuild a subconscious mind so that it supports the desires that I want in my life. And that's the part that takes an enormous amount of effort. But the truth is, your parents or whoever raised you, whoever was influential to you in your young life, they were programmed. You see, we're all programmed a certain way. I'm programmed, you're programmed. Now, when I was a child, I was programmed by mostly my parents or my older brothers. I have two older brothers, an older sister, or teachers, or other influences that were in my life at the time. Grandparents, perhaps, they influenced us as a child. And so the people that influenced you were influenced by somebody else, and they were influenced by somebody else, and they were influenced by somebody else. And I remember Bob Proctor in one of his webinars, he used to say that your programming, it probably came from several generations ago, and you're not even aware of why you are the way you are. But we don't want to go to that place of boo-hoo, poor me, why am I like this? We want to let that go. Just understand it, respect it, wrap your loving arms around it, is the way that Gay Hendricks used to say when we were doing webinars together many years ago, which I kind of like that idea. I remember Gay talking about that. Wrap your loving arms around it. And I remember thinking, well, that's a different approach. And I thought about it. I thought it's a brilliant approach. And it's brilliant because think about this. When you wrap your loving arms around something, what emotion are you in when you're doing that? You're in a good emotion, right? You're in a loving emotion. And so when you can accept that as who you are and love yourself completely, then that dissolves it. It's sort of, it just feels a lot better. Now, I love Lily's question. This is a very, very important question. How to free myself from it. Now, how many of you would love to know how to free yourself of it? Because that's what I've done. And I look around the room here, I see Jackie G here, and I know the struggles that Jackie G has gone through as well. And yet she shows up, yet she invests in herself, yet here she is learning more, expanding more. I love that. So, how you free yourself from it is by expanding your knowledge, your awareness, and putting the principles into practice. So that's what we'll talk about it as well. Let it go unequivocally. Letting it go, this is interesting. Let it go as far as any negative attachment to it, but it will always remain a part of you. You see, we don't remove our dysfunction. We don't remove those beliefs that are deep within us that are destructive. We don't remove them. We can't go to a surgeon and say, I want you to open me up and take out that feeling of unworthiness, right? Wouldn't that be wonderful if we could do that, right? Now, I'm Dr. Peggy McColl now, so I'm going to help you do that, but non-surgically, non-invasive, and it's going to be a lot easier as far as the recovery is concerned as well. So yes, that's part of it, Candace, is to form a new identity for sure. But this is really what it is already done, is to show you how to get in alignment and stay in alignment. Now, why would you do that? Because you're going to form a new identity, yes, but that's part of the belief of who you are. What you're ultimately doing is you're going to reprogram your mind. That's what we're talking about here. So how do you unravel that, or how do you deal with it, or how do you rebuild? How do I free myself from it? You rebuild. Right? You rebuild a subconscious mind that is going to support that which you desire. Okay, so let's go back to our slide presentation. I really appreciate you guys and all the comments that you're putting in the chat box as well. That's wonderful. Okay, so you're very aware that doing nothing leads to things getting worse, right? Now, here's an important question as well. What do you believe are the blocks to success, or the reason why people don't get or stay aligned? This is a very important question, and I want you to answer that in the chat box. What do you believe are the blocks to success, or the reason why people don't get or stay aligned? Okay, type in the chat box what your answer is to that question. Okay, what do you believe is the answer to that? Okay, so I'm going to just look at the chat box on here. Okay, what are the blocks? Maybe talk about some specifics, okay? What do you believe are the blocks to success? Let's go here and see. Yeah, I like that. I like what Caroline wrote. Yeah, I think we're going to see lots of very accurate answers in this to this question. I just want to get to the top of where they started here. Great, guys, loving all the answers. Okay, we know what to do, but not really doing it. It's programming. This is a great answer by Yes, I Can, Sanjeev. You know what to do, but you're not doing it. Like, that's absolutely one of the reasons. Why? But why? Why would you not do the work when you know what to do? What is it that's causing you to not do the work? Okay, this is a very important question. A new perspective, says Bernie. Yes. Getting emotionally involved in circumstances. So great answer, Regina. So what she's saying is that getting emotionally involved in what's currently going on in your life. This is a great example, because somebody who wants more money into their life, and they remain in a state of lack or struggle. And so a block that could be there is that they believe that's the way it is. And in fact, someone that I don't really know that well, but I was at a social environment, and this woman was commenting on her financial situation, and she's obviously not in the study, but she said something like, and I believe she's in her 50s, and she said something that, she's always struggled. That's the way it is. She'll struggle till the day she dies. And I was fascinated by her response, and I said, is that the way you would love for it to be? And even that question caused her to pause for a moment, like, what are you talking about? That's the way it is. And think about this, when people really believe that's the way their life is, what are they going to create? More struggle, right? They're going to continue to stay in the struggle. And so you have to be aware of that, like continuing to look at present results, whether it's the lack of money in the bank account, whether it's the credit card statements or the loans or whatever it is, and you really don't want that anymore, and you're constantly focusing on that you want to get out of debt, and you just don't want to experience that anymore, and yet you're giving all the energy to debt, 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 and you attract more of the same, right? Is it as simple as that? Yeah, it is as simple as that. No time to do what is needed. Yeah, that can be a belief as well. Not the truth, but it can be a belief. Self-doubt. Definitely, that's probably one of the biggest ones, Yvonne. Thank you for writing that. Negative paradigms for sure. Catherine, deep rooted conditioning. And so Catherine's talking about the negative, deeply rooted conditioning. And I'll give you an example of that in a minute. Not following the universal laws. What's interesting, I love the answer, Bobby. What's interesting with the universal laws, like the law of cause and effect, the law of perpetual transmutation, the law of vibration, right? When we think about what all of these natural laws are of the universe, I mean, they're always on. I think about the universe as your partner, and it's a partner that's always there for you, always has your back, and is available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and doesn't get sick and doesn't call in sick. It's always there to support you. And so when we think about not following the laws, we're all in harmony with the laws, but many people are creating with the laws what they don't want, right? It's like that example that I gave a moment ago of constantly being in a state of struggle, right? And feeling lack and feeling like you don't have enough. That's an energy that some people reside in. Now, you're working in harmony with the law with that too, because the law will repeat back or reflect back exactly what's going on within you. In fact, if you want to know what your previous programming was like, simply look at your results. That'll tell you a lot, but not to look at them to judge them, but to look at them for the valuable awareness that they bring. Okay, afraid to take action, programming, fear, limiting beliefs, fear, getting in our own way, or think we don't deserve it. I was looking for that one. Jackie G. Thank you for putting that in there. That is a very important one, the worthiness factor, right? Like really believing that you're worthy. Another one is just believing in that it's possible. A lot of people have a real challenge with believing in something that they can't see, especially if you're somebody who's very analytical, a left brain thinker, maybe a scientist, a mathematician, somebody who really loves to see proof, right? Like prove to me that it works. They can have a little more challenging, but it's absolutely possible that they can manifest these things into their results. Okay, so you guys get that. That's a pretty obvious one. Now, The Moment of Alignment is my 25th book. I am releasing it this year. We've been studying it in our Club Achieve program. But the reason why I put it on here is for two reasons. One is to do a plug for the book, obviously. I really believe it is the best book that I've ever written. So I'm in love with the content, and I'm in love with it because it's changed my life and changed the lives of many, 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 many people. But I want you to look at the subtitle that's on the book cover, The Moment of Alignment, the precise moment where intention becomes reality. The precise moment where intention becomes reality. Now, we've been studying this book in our Club Achieve program. In fact, we read one of the most valuable chapters from that book this morning in our class in chapter 8. But I want to ask you guys this question. When is the precise moment where your intention becomes a reality? I want you to type in the chat box. When is that? When is the precise moment where your intention becomes reality? When is that precise moment? Let's see if yeah, absolutely. When you make a decision, your heart and mind coherence. Okay, we're seeing different. I'm not seeing the answer that I'm looking for. Not quite. Okay. All right. These are good answers. Good answers. I'm going to keep looking until I find the answer. I'm also going to make Kayla co-host because she switched to her computer. Okay. Linda wrote, when you can see it before it happens. Living from the end. There's Kayla's answer. Beautiful. Eric, when you let go and know it's yours no matter what. Beautifully said, Eric. And yes, that's exactly when it is. So when your intentions, the precise moment when your attention becomes a reality, is when you accept it as an accomplished fact. All right, it is done. This event, it is already done. So when you accept it as an accomplished fact, now I'm going to give you a bunch of examples on that. Now, is it done now in this moment? We saw a number of people right now, not necessarily. I mean, we do have a moment. This is a moment of opportunity right here, right now. But unless you've accepted your desire into your heart as an accomplishment, as if it's already done. Thank you, Catherine, for writing that down. When you accept it as an accomplished fact. Okay, it is done. This is done. You know, I have a client that I work with for a number of years. He was in my high-end programs, and then we worked together in private mentoring. And the two of us started this process. I asked him if he wanted to do this with me, where, because we kept in touch over the years. Quite often, you know, I think almost all of my private mentoring clients do become friends with me. And this particular gentleman, when we were on a call together last year, I had said to him, I would love to have this accountability daily with you, where I'm going to send you an email and I'm going to state my desire as an accomplished fact, and you send me back yours. And we'll do this every single day, every single day. And I always finish my email to him that it is done, or it is so, and so it is. You know, sometimes I'll put a little bit of variety in there, or I'll put in the subject line, isn't it wonderful? Isn't it wonderful that this is done? Isn't it wonderful that you've already accomplished that? Like, these are great statements to make to yourself, but it doesn't matter what words you're uttering or what words are coming out of your mouth. You have to feel it. You have to really feel it in your heart as if it is done. Like, really embrace that. Like, yeah, that feels good. Now, that is going to feel foreign if everything that's in your programming, that's in your mind already, is not in harmony with that. So this is where the battle begins. Okay, and I want to talk about the battle and how to deal with the battle, but more importantly, how to win the battle. All right, would you love to win the battle? The battle of your mind, the battle of the paradigms? Yeah, okay. All right, good, good. Thank you. All right, good. Yes, absolutely. 100%. Okay, good. I love that. All right, I have the, what did that say? I have the feeling that it's done in spiritual, just a matter of time before it appears in the physical. You see, you have to accept it as done now. And yeah, it will appear in the physical because it is law. Because as I said earlier, the laws are always working. So if you're in harmony with a particular outcome, it's definitely going to happen. Now, I want you to understand this. This is really important. When you think about, we're going to get into this next, actually. When you think about what you desire, it has to come from passion. It has to be something that is burning within you. I think about Bob Proctor in 2020, and he passed away in 2022. And in 2020, or it might have been 21, I think it was 22 or 20, he sent me an email and he said, I just want you to know that, you know, we just had a verification of a goal that I set in 1974. So 1974, he set a goal. 2020, he accomplished that goal. All right, now how many years is that? A lot, right? That's a lot of years. And so what was the goal? Bob Proctor took a pen. He was sitting in his den on Maplewood Lane or whatever street name that he was on at the time. Mary probably knows the exact street. And he wrote in his goal statements that I operate a company, or I have a company that operates in every country in the world. And it was in 2020 when he was told by one of his team members, hey, Bob, I just want you to know that we are now in every single country. Proctor Gallagher Institute is in every single country in the world. Now, it took that long. And I remember someone asking me the question at one of our events, one of our seminars, how long did it take for you to become a millionaire after you declared it and accepted it as accomplished fact? And it was an interesting question. And of course, this is what a lot of people want to know. How long is it going to take? How long is it going to take? How long is it going to take? The fact that you ask the question means you're out of alignment, right? The fact that you ask the question means that you're ignorant, meaning you're not aware. That's not doesn't mean rude. It means you're simply not aware. And so when you recognize that, when did I become a millionaire? When I decided that it was done for me, right? It's like the guy that slept on the park bench and then he was homeless, right? He ended up becoming a multimillionaire. And somebody asked him in an interview, at what point did you become wealthy or rich? And he said, I was rich when I was laying on the park bench, right? Do you get that? Does that make sense to you? You accept it now, right here, right now. Yeah. All right. Good, good. I love it. Eric says, I feel that it comes faster when you let go. Definitely, Eric. That's the magic of it. Absolutely, it happens a lot faster. Lily says, I'd love to serve people in every country too. See it as done. Begin to declare this is done. I'm so happy and grateful that I'm serving people in every country in the world, right? Just accept that. I have on my desk here in marble that I had is sort of engraved is my purpose is I'm here to make a positive and beneficial contribution to the lives of hundreds of millions of people in the world. Am I doing that now? Yeah. Where? In consciousness. But when I get to serve somebody like Dr. Michelle Snyder, who is an author and a symbologist and this incredible being who's on this planet serving others, I serve her, she serves others, right? Is that contributing to me making a positive benefit? Yeah, absolutely. And so you see it done. How it's going to get done is the part you won't know. And you know what? You don't have to know. It's good news. It's really good news. You don't have to know how it's going to happen. You just have to see it already done. It's already done. I just love this whole concept of it's already done. Can you tell? I'm so excited about that. So the moment of alignment, the precise moment where your intention becomes reality is when you accept your desires as accomplished fact, as an accomplished fact. So here's a quote straight out of the moment of alignment. Alignment is impossible without clarity. You must know what you want clearly, confidently, unapologetically. I love that. In fact, one of my clients sent me a text the other day, and she was telling me that she's decided on her book title for her book. And that was one of the things that she had on her cover, that whole idea, that concept, unapologetically. Think about what does that word really mean? You're not apologizing for it, right? It's like you understand that it is your right, and it is your right to have anything that you desire. It is your right to be rich. It is your right, Lily, to have a business that operates all over the world. It's your right. It's your birthright. It's your birthright. It's everyone's birthright, but it's not that Lily is more special than someone else. We're all just as special. We all have that same power. We all have that capability to do anything that we really want. So the alignment has to be there, and alignment means that you've accepted it as done, right? I have this little block on my desk, and this block says, my success is absolutely guaranteed. Do you realize that your success is absolutely guaranteed? Do you realize that? Do you believe that your success is absolutely guaranteed? Is that something that you believe? I just want to know, like we have 109 people on the class right now. How many of you believe that your success is absolutely guaranteed? All right, Sarah, I love that. Great. I love the honesty here, Regina. Not all the time. Okay. All right. Some people do, some people don't, as you can see. Let me explain this concept. The first time I heard this as a concept was when I was watching a Joel Osteen presentation is in one of his videos of one of his sermons. And he said that. He said those words, your success is absolutely guaranteed. Well, it got my attention. It definitely got my attention. And then I thought about it and I realized that it's absolutely true. It's absolutely true that your success is guaranteed. Why? Because if you have the ability to think it, you have the ability to manifest it. You do within the realms of nature. We'll just add that little comment there, right? Within the realms of nature. So the truth is that your desires are what's called in the fourth dimension, meaning they're out there, right? They're out there in what's called also the field of possibilities or the field of opportunities. They're out there. It's a mere possibility. But when we manifest it, we have to bring it into our reality as accomplished. Now, in the beginning, that's going to feel awkward. It's not going to feel right. And then the battle starts, as I talked about earlier, right? Barbara says, I've recently been updating my Power Life script from income goal. I am correct in thinking that I just get specific about the annual amount and that I should be making assumptions as to how, shouldn't be making assumptions. Absolutely, Barbara. Do not assume. In fact, one of my private mentoring clients sent me her Power Life script the other day. And what she did was she wrote it so that I could record it to her. So it's me speaking to her. But I noticed something when I was reviewing it. I noticed that she's telling the universe how it's going to happen. We can't tell the universe how it's going to happen. We can think of ways and think of ideas and sort of be open to how it's going to happen, but we can't tell the universe how it's going to happen. So when we're talking about income as an example, everything that is written in the present tense, as if you have it now. So earnings as an example, I was thinking about the concept of taking your annual income and making it your monthly income. And, the reason why people don't do that is because they haven't accepted it as an accomplished fact, right? They don't believe that it's possible to do it. But if you did accept that as an accomplished fact, that you're now easily, and I'll always put that adjective in there, easily earning whatever that number is, and then you accept it as an accomplished fact, will you attract the opportunity that's going to produce that result? Definitely. Will you know where it's going to come from? No, you will not know where it's going to come from. But what's your responsibility? Your responsibility is to believe that it's already done. Now, that may not always be easy, especially if you have some deep-rooted block, and some of them are real strong. Like some of them are so deeply rooted, you might not even be aware of what they are, right? We'll talk a little bit about that as well. Like, how do you know what those deeply rooted beliefs are? Okay, we're going to get into that as well. So alignment is impossible without clarity. I'm talking about how do you want to live your life? You have to know what you would love. How would you love to live your life? Now, here's where it gets real interesting. When I think about asking that question, how would you love to be living your life? Now, many people are going to answer it based on what their paradigms currently are. Now, this is where you have to put a bypass, right? We have to bypass the old way of thinking, the paradigms that are already there, and just open up and be ready to dream big, right? Just ask yourself, what would I really love? What would I really, 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 really love to have, do, or be, or experience in my life? How many of you are really clear on what it is that you would love? How many are crystal clear on what you would love? Good. Okay, so Catherine wrote A Life of Luxury. Do you know what that means? What does that mean how do you know when you're living a life of luxury? How do you know? Time and money freedom. How do you know when you have time and money freedom? See, this is where the clarity comes in. Now, again, you don't have to know how you're going to do it, but how will you know? Okay, so here we go. Perfect. Okay, traveling, 5-star, hotels, houses, goals. This is where your goals come into play as well. Okay, Marie says, I've never known. Marie, are you willing to think about that? Are you willing to give that some energy? So she's so close. I like that. Okay, Dr. Michelle says, almost crystal clear, 5 million in an investment account supporting free. Okay, and so much more. That and so much more. Okay, ability to focus people around me. Okay, so I'm talking about specifics. Like if you think about this question, how will I know? Let's see, we've got Murnaz, who's here and a very serious into the materials, manifesting 3 million this year. 3 million earnings, I'm guessing, right? Is that what you're earning? Murnaz is 3 million. So I wouldn't put 2005. I do not ever put dates in my statements ever, ever, ever. I just see myself with it now. So if earning 3 million a year is what you would love, then write that down. I'm so happy and grateful. Now, if you don't know what you want to do, if you're not sure of what you will be doing to earn that money, just say, I am doing work that's deeply meaningful to me, that I love, I enjoy, while I'm earning $3 million a year. And then the exact way will be attracted to you. Jimmy Choo's shoes. I like that. Money to do what I want. Stephanie says, I'm living in a luxurious villa on the Northeast coast in Florida. Beautiful. Okay. So you have to be specific, guys. Okay. That's what I'm talking about. Clarity is specific. How much money? What kind of home? If you know where the home is, or even approximately where the home is. So get specific on what it is that you want. That's the clarity piece. Okay. That's what you would love. Okay. Film and global success. Okay. So Khadija, you know what, you taught me before how to properly say your name, and I apologize. Kadi, I'm going to call you Kadi, okay? I want my film to be a global success. That's one of the things I want. Okay, so what does that mean? Like, what does that look like, smell like, taste like if your film is a global success? Does that mean that it's won awards? If so, which awards? Does it mean that it's shown on certain streaming channels? If so, which ones? Right? Get specific. All right, beautiful. I love that. Okay, and we're seeing some of the reasons there as well. Okay, let's go back to my slides. So know what you want and be specific. Now imagine this. If you did accomplish everything that you set for yourself, what would your life be like? So let's say you bought that home, you bought the condo, you're doing the work that you love, you've got a company that operates all over the world, your film is a global success, you're earning $3 million a year. Tell me, what is your life like now? Okay, write in the chat box, what is your life like now that you've accomplished all these things? And it could be something like, it's amazing, like it's incredible, like I have so much freedom, I'm having so much fun, like I love my life, I'm inspiring others, I'm inspiring millions of people. What is it like? Blissful and free, I'm seeing. Heaven on earth, thank you. All right, great, okay. Peace, joy, harmony, love, freedom, peaceful and flourishing, absolutely divine. I'm feeding kids and animals and giving them so much love. I'm giggling. I'm feeling joy. It's a big relief. Okay, good. I like that. Joyful and peaceful, amazing, happy life, helping others, no worries, fulfilling and enriched. Oh, they're coming in so fast right now. Feeling enriched and feeling freedom, says Jerry. Total gratitude. I love that. Samira, peaceful and free with a lot of love and joy. Sharon, free, peaceful, joyful, and filled with beauty, spreading happiness. I feel so secure, peaceful and safe, joy, joyous life, taking my family for a holiday and paying for it all. I love that, Mernaz. I see that. That's beautiful, carefree. It feels like the life I was born to live, waking up happy and grateful every day, at peace, secure, free. All right, this is great. I love it, guys. Well, obviously, you are embracing the feeling, right? Feels good, doesn't it? Okay, now would you be willing to carry that forth, to carry that emotion with you throughout the day? I like what Dr. Michelle wrote. I'm happy and grateful every day now. Every day, every day. That's more like it. Yes, Bernie, absolutely. That's the way you want to be. You see, it's important that you manage your energy. It's important that you notice what you're feeling all day long. There's a line in this wonderful book by Robert Collier, one of my favorite books. That's why I can grab it with my hands here. It sits here on my desk. And on here, and I believe it's in page 86, here's what he says. And I wrote about it in the moment of alignment as well. He said, it's not enough to know. It's not enough to know that you have this power, because we all do. Every one of us has this power. It's not enough. You have to put it into practice, not once or twice, but every hour of every day. Every hour of every day, every hour of every day. It becomes a habitual way of being. That's what you want to do. You want to have this be a habitual way of being for you. Now that takes the discipline, right? This is where you have to create the new habits of success. This is where you discipline yourself. It's like Bob used to say, give yourself a command and follow it. Give yourself a command to be aligned. Give yourself to stay aligned. That command to be aligned and stay aligned. That's why I can pull from the right, from the left. You know, I see signs over there. There's signs behind me. I'm always reminding myself to be in alignment with what I desire. Because you know what? you'll go out of alignment. If you're not into a habit and into a practice of getting in and staying in alignment, you're going out. You're going out of alignment. And like you may not work in an environment like I work. Like I work in my home and I have all this around me. So it's feeding my mind. I'm every day reprogramming my mind. Plus, I listen to my Power Life script every day on repeat for hours every single day. Why? Because I know that nothing stays the same. I know I have to remain in the study because I desire to produce better and better results, because I know that it's necessary to live my life on purpose. It is important. It is important work. I remember Bob used to get so upset, with people in the seminar rooms, and he would say, "This is your life we're talking about," right? And I was like, "Woo!" I mean, he would scare people, right? He was so passionate about his message, but it's true. It's so true. This is your life we're talking about here. Just before we got on the call today, I was talking to the universe, talking to God, whatever, and I was just giving thanks, like, thank you for allowing me the opportunity to serve you, because I know what I teach works, and I know it from personal experience. And some of it hasn't been pretty. Most of it hasn't been pretty. And I think in some ways you have to be willing to have it be messy. You have to be willing to understand that you are going to go off track. Everybody goes off track. I go off track. Ask Roddy. He's seen it. He's in the first front seat, watching it happen. But what he also knows is Peggy gets off track, she's right back on. And even though I may go down, some kind of road, it's like, nope, back over here. So it's not that you won't get off track. You will. Roddy gets off track. Kayla gets off track. Mary gets off track. We all get off track. We got to put ourselves right back on track. That's a choice. Now, we've been given the ability to do that. We have a conscious thinking mind, and we have to use it. We have to use it better. We're not taught how to do this, right? We're not programmed this way. So it becomes a little more challenging when you're older because you're already robotic. Now, that's good news. I think it's wonderful news that we're very robotic beings, that we're very habitual beings. But it's also bad news. Why? Because if we're doing stuff that doesn't produce the results and we continue to stay in those habits, we're going to, continue to produce bad results. And that's not what we want. I know it's not what you want. You wouldn't be here if that's what was something that you desired. Your desire, and you demonstrated by showing up today, is simply to produce better results. And I'm here to help you with that. That's what I'm here for. I love that Eric wrote, I love my Power Life script. Me too. Oh, and Murnaz wrote that too. Me too. I honestly believe the Power Life script is the greatest tool I've ever used, ever. In all the years. Now, I created it back in 1995. I've been using it ever since for 30 years. It makes such a difference in your life. Why? Because it reprograms your subconscious mind. And your subconscious mind is the programming. It is running the show. Right? It is where all your habits are as well. And if you don't like them, if it's not the way you want them to be, then you have the opportunity to change it through repetition. That's how you change what goes on in your subconscious mind, through repetition, spaced time repetition, which means it's consistent, right? Consistent. You're doing it every single day, bar none. All right. So imagining that you're living the life that you desire is something that you must do every day. That's what the Power Life script contributes to. That's what visualization contributes to. That's what writing in a gratitude statement or journal contributes to. That's what doing affirmations, mirror work, all of these things contribute, provided you are feeling the emotion of it, right? You have to be feeling the emotion of it as your dominant state of being, So the only thing standing between you and your desires is your willingness to stay aligned, especially when nothing seems to be happening. Now, as I said, these are quotes straight out of The Moment of Alignment, my new book. The only thing standing between you and your desires is your willingness to stay aligned. So how many of you are willing to stay aligned? How many of you are willing to stay aligned? Type in the chat box. Are you willing to stay aligned? You see, your response activates something within you, by the way. For those of you that are responding with regularity, and I'm assuming that all of you are, it makes a greater impact when you do things like write what Eric did. Yes, I am. I am. I am. Yes, definitely. As Connie says, I'm willing to stay aligned. Lily wrote the whole statement out. I'm all in, says iPhone. I love that. All right, brilliant. Yes, doing it now, says Bernie. Beautiful. It's serious work. And yeah, absolutely. I've got work to do, but I'm certainly willing, says Murray. Beautiful. I love that. Yes, 100%. It's been a whip for some time now. Not sure what that means, but okay. I am. Yes, I'm willing. Beautiful. Okay, great. Love it. Thank you guys. I appreciate that. Okay, this next image is a picture from one of my clients who's now a friend from her office. This is Angie Tumlinson's view from her office. So she lives out in beautiful British Columbia in Canada. She bought a beautiful home. And I was actually doing private mentoring with her when she did this. She bought this absolutely spectacular home a number of years ago and now lives there with her husband, Matt. And what's fascinating, yes, it is a beautiful, beautiful home, Ernaz, and a beautiful view. What's fascinating is this morning we were doing a class in Club Achieve, and we're studying the moment of alignment. And Angie was telling the story about one day she was looking out her window at the spectacular view, and she noticed that a bird had done his business on the window. So she's looking at the window, and obviously it's clean right now in this picture because I asked her to take a picture of it after we got off the class this morning. I said, Angie, were you willing to take a picture of your view and send it to me? Because I want to include it in my presentation today because I thought it was a great example. Now, what is it an example of? So she said that she looked out her window and she noticed that there was bird poop all over her window. So a bird, had done its business and ended up landing on her window. And she said she started looking at the bird poop and started to become energetically aligned with the frustration of the bird poop. But what's the example here? What's the story that we're really trying to get across? It's what are you looking at? What are you giving your attention to, right? What are you giving your attention to? Are you looking at the bird poop? Are you looking at the incredible view that's right there in front of you? You see, a lot of people don't even recognize the good that's right there in front of them. They're looking at what's wrong, right? They're looking at the stuff that they don't love. And what happens when you do that? You stay energetically aligned with that. And that really comes down to awareness. It comes down to awareness of what you're giving your attention to. But what's interesting about that is sometimes people don't even know. They're not even aware of what they're giving their attention to, right? Just in that moment, when Angie's looking out her window and she happens to see the bird stuff, and then she's getting, like annoyed by this. And then she realized she caught herself in that moment of what she was giving her energy to, and then switched, right? And I had said during the call that, you could look at it differently. You could still look at the bird poop, but say, isn't it wonderful that we get to hear the birds singing, outside our windows? Right? There's another way of looking at the situations or the scenarios. Like when I think about when I was young and I got to a point where I was a young adult, I wanted to end my life. I didn't want to live here anymore. I didn't want to be on this planet anymore. I wanted to kill myself, basically. And what's great about that? Well, I understand what that deep pain is like. I understand when you feel where there's no way out. Now, I'm not there anymore, and I'm not going to go there in consciousness. I can talk about it, but I've separated the feelings from it. I do not attach the emotion if I talk about scenarios or situations that happen in my life that were not enjoyable situations. I'm going to give you a couple of other examples of that in a few minutes. So it's what are you giving your attention to? I like that someone wrote in the chat box, Tony Robbins says, Chris says that Tony says, where focus goes, energy flows. It's true. What you give your energy to is what's going to expand, right? And we certainly want to be aware. So what do you do in those kinds of situations? You have to have the awareness and the conscious awareness to notice, like notice when you're giving your attention to something that doesn't feel good, like, why is this not working? Is that a good energy to be involved in? Why is this not working? No, 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 no. Not good energy to be in. What would be better energy to be in? Assuming it's already done, how does that feel? So you bring yourself back to the feeling. And what will I see? I love that question. What will I do that will produce the results that I desire? Or what could I do in this moment that may contribute toward better results? Right? These are better questions. Better questions to ask yourself is, what am I willing to do right here, right now? It's like what Dr. Michelle wrote in the chat box. What would I love? What would I love? What would I love? This is a question that you can ask yourself. It's also a question from my little block. This is not only a great question to ask yourself for clarity of your desires, but it's also a great question to ask yourself when you're out of alignment. Oh, you have yours there, Michelle. Perfect. So you're out of alignment and you notice you're out of alignment. You notice that you're focusing on what you don't want. Just ask yourself, what would I love? Okay, well, what I would love is this outcome. Okay, what's that feel like? Feels like this. Okay, go straight to feeling. Yeah, it's like Catherine just wrote, yes, yes, it is already done. You need to keep remembering. Remember. Remember means to bring it together, right? Bring it together with you, within you. You bring it together as an accomplished fact. All right. All right, now I had said we're going to do about an hour teaching and then we're going to get to questions, but I'm about halfway through my slides. So we're going to keep going and I will definitely get to some questions a little bit later before. Also, I did create something. I say it's the royal we. It's Roddy again who did the bulk of the work on this, but I'm going to explain to you something that we created yesterday. I got inspired with an idea and it hit me so profoundly that I knew it was something that I had to follow through on. It was just like one of those aha moments, or it's like where the angels sing. I don't know what you want to call it, but it was like, bam, I text Roddy. It's evening for him. It's like, Roddy, are you there? And he's like, yeah, can I help you with something? Which is his beautiful spirit that I love so much. And I said, yeah, can you get on Zoom with me right now? He's like, sure. And then Kayla and I were texting too. I said, Kayla, you want to come on Zoom? Because I just got this idea. And then bam. So I'm going to reveal it to you guys today because we acted on it. And I think it's one of the best things that we've ever created. So you're going to get exposed to that. And before we wrap up our call today, I'm going to share that with you. And I think you're going to love it. It's very personalized as well. So we're going to, thanks, Mernaz. All right. Thank you. Yeah, Roddy does have a beautiful smile. You're right. He's such a blessing. Okay. So daily discipline. Here's another quote straight out of the Moment of Alignment. You don't need more time. You need more alignment. Like when people tell me that, why is it taking so long? Why is it taking so long? The mere fact that you asked that question means you're out of alignment, right? Or when they say to me, when's it going to happen? It's like when you accept it as an accomplished fact, right? It is done now. Alignment. It's all about alignment. That's why I know you guys are going to love the Moment of Alignment. Like if you haven't placed your order for the book yet, go and do it. Not now, wait till we're done and then do it a little bit later, okay? And we have rewards for you as well. So you have to condition your mind. You have to condition your mind to be aligned, and that takes work, right? So if your mind, here's another quote out of the Moment of Alignment, if your mind isn't currently conditioned to hold the vision of what you desire, the old programming will win. It will, because you're programmed a certain way. That's why I said earlier, if you want to know what your programming is like, look at your results. Now, if you want different results, you have to change the programming. And this is where the work comes into. That's why we created the Mind Conditioning Mastery Program. So when we think about our power that's within us, we have to accept that we have that power, that we are creative beings, and that we have to live as if we did accomplish that. Now, this is what's fascinating, because as soon as you decide to do that, that's when the old beliefs, the negative beliefs start popping up. Like, for example, when I decided to write my first book, and I didn't really know anything about the book industry or writing a book or whatever. I wanted to write a book, but I didn't know anything about it. All that was something that wasn't in harmony with who I was as an identity. I didn't see myself as a successful author. I had to build it. So your identity, what I wrote here is another quote from the Moment of Alignment. It is already done the moment you become the version of you who already has it. right? Who already has it? I'll give you examples through some of the stories that I'm about to share with you, personal stories. Now, you may have heard my personal stories before, but listen in because I'm relating it to what we're talking about today. Here's something else straight out of the Moment of Alignment. This is a universal process of manifestation. This is from chapter 8 in the book. The process of manifestation is the same for any and every desire. You decide what you want and you be clear and specific. Okay, clear and specific. What kind of home? What is it like? How big is it? How many rooms? How many bedrooms? Do you have a triple car garage or a 10-car garage? What do you want? What would you love? That's where this question comes into play. What would you love? Then you determine what it feels like when you have it. Emotions are key. What does that feel like for you? It might be different for the next person. And you feel it every day as your dominant way of being. Simple, right? And you go straight to the feeling. What would I love? What would I love? What would I love? What does that feel like? What does that feel like? And you immerse yourself in the emotions of already having your desire. It is already done. It feels free. It feels wonderful. It feels relief. And we saw all those responses in the chat box on the right-hand side. So this is the process of manifestation. It's simple for sure, not easy sometimes, not easy until you program yourself to be that way. So I'm going to share with you some stories from my own life. As I said, you may have heard them before. Many of you have been on my webinars before, been in my programs before, but we're going to talk about it as it relates to what we've been talking about for the last hour and 10 minutes. So the truth is this is the greatest truth I've ever learned in almost 50 years of studying success. You don't have to know how. You do have to decide what it is, and you do have to be aligned with the desire, but you don't have to know how you're going to accomplish the goals that you set for yourself. So when I think back to when I made a decision to attract my significant other into my life, my husband, Denis, this is going back over 20 years ago now. In fact, it was 21 years ago. I made a decision that I was in a very, very loving relationship. Now, one of the fascinating truths that I realized after going through a divorce prior to meeting Denis is that I did have a deep rooted belief within me that I didn't believe back then. We're going back many years ago. I didn't believe that I was worthy of love. Now, that kind of belief will sabotage even when you do attract someone into your life. So I had the awareness. I chose to do something about it. I created a new belief and I fed my paradigm. I built a new belief within my subconscious mind by listening to my Power Life script, by doing the work that I teach. And then I was out walking my dog one day and I met this wonderful man named Denis Beliveau. Now, part of what I wrote in my script is that we laugh a lot together. And so the picture that's taken on the right-hand side of the screen was we had friends over. We were sitting outside by the fire on our patio, and somebody took this picture because Danny and I are always laughing. We laugh every day. We just have so much fun together. I'm so blessed with this relationship I've attracted. It really is, I feel, the best manifestation that I've ever created in my life. It's such a gift in my life to have this wonderful man in my life. And he is such a sweetheart. He's such an incredible, giving, loving man. And I attracted that because I knew I had to be the person that believed that I was worthy of that love, that I was worthy of a happy marriage, and that I was worthy of having this into my life. That took the effort. That's why I said it's simple, but it may not be easy, because prior to having Denny in my life, yeah, I'd had relationships, I'd gone through a marriage, it ended in a divorce, but there was that deep-rooted belief there that I wasn't worthy of love. Where'd that come from? Childhood, right? I was never told I love you. I was never hugged, not kissed, good night, like none of that. There was none of that in our household. It is what it is. It's the past. I cannot change that whatsoever. What we have is now in this very moment. So I attracted him into my life, and I attracted him by getting clear. That's where the clarity comes from. What does this relationship feel like? How will you know when you're in a happy, loving, committed relationship? How will you know? Describe it, define it, and then live in it now in the present moment. And that's when I attracted Denny into my life. This was the home. In fact, if you look at the patio here, that's where we were sitting at this home. This was a multi-million-dollar home that was backing onto a golf course that we had purchased. It was a custom home. And this was another manifestation that I decided to go for. And it was a home where at the time I didn't have the cash to buy it. It wasn't definitely somebody who would go to the bank and say, oh, give me the millions of dollars to buy this custom home. But I manifested it. How did I manifest it? By seeing and knowing that I was already living there. This is how you manifest a dream home, is you got to get clear on the home that you're living in, what it's like, what it feels like to live there. And you wake up there in your mind, in your consciousness every day. You go to sleep there in your consciousness every single day. This was another manifestation. I chose to manifest a waterfront property. Now, my husband didn't want one. He's like, why do I want two places? That's like double the work. And I said, what do you mean double the work? He goes, well, two lawns to cut. I said, who said you have to cut it? All right. Sometimes we get in our own way. We could have somebody cut the grass. And that's what we did. We hired somebody to cut the grass. And so what I saw in my mind's eye before the actual physical manifestation occurred was I saw my husband and I sitting on our swim platform, and I saw us looking at each other, and I saw us watching the sunset and just embracing the moment and experiencing the moment. And that was all done in consciousness first. And then bam, found the place, bought the place. But even when I found the place, Denny was like, oh no, like definitely not. You see, I had a vision of the place because I love the land. I had a vision of the place being renovated. And that's exactly what we did. And Denny was not on board. A lot of people ask me, like, how do I get my partner on board? I said, you have to first be on board. You have to see it. Now, I knew it wasn't going to hurt him. And in my Power Life script, I actually scripted that we're sitting on our swim platform, we're watching the sunset, and that he turns to me and says, thank you. And that happened. It happened. It's like you create it. You create it with your mind. You have such a powerful mind that you can see it done. I remember when Bob decided that he wanted to start flying in a private jet. Well, I decided I'm going to be flying with him. I don't need a private jet. I can just go with my friend Bob. So and I flew with Bob many times in his private jet to LA when he'd be doing an event there and I'd be speaking, or when we'd be going to Vegas or other places. I would fly with Bob in the private jet. Wonderful experience. I love that experience of flying in a private jet, that the pilot was taking the picture of the two of us sitting in the jet. In fact, my husband and I went on trips with him as well in his private jet. But that was something that I declared as an accomplished fact, embraced it with the alignment. It is already done. And then it became a fact. Savvy wisdom. When I decided to write a fiction book, I had already written 18 nonfiction books. And then the idea popped in my consciousness, to write a fiction book. And I just decided, okay, I know what's required in order to produce results. And what's required is to have the belief in the outcome the way you desire it to be. And so I just decided this is going to be easy. It's going to flow. I'm going to write a great book. And Savvy Wisdom became one of my biggest selling books. And it's also now a trilogy. 2 books came after it. And I signed a contract last year for the trilogy to be made into a movie. Now, this all happens because you make decisions and you move into action. And part of that action is the alignment. Okay, that's really, really important. The picture on the left-hand side is me going into the radiation machine. I was going for a treatment. I had been diagnosed in 2021 with metastatic cancer, and it was in my tongue and my neck. And the treatment involved radiation, which I had no idea what that would be like. It was horrific. It was actually absolutely an awful experience. Don't wish that on anyone. And yet the whole while I was going through that, and at one point I became poisoned by radiation, was hospitalized for 2 weeks, and it was dropping weight like crazy. I was so sick, they had to put a stomach tube in. But all the while I would imagine, and the reason why I put this picture here is because I would imagine that I was going to the beach and laying on the beach to enjoy the warmth of the sun. That's what I would do. So they'd put the mask on, screw it to the table, slide me in the machine, And I would just imagine I'm at the beach. I'm at the beach. I wasn't in a radiation machine. I was at the beach, right? And that's what I was doing with my mind. And even while I was, very weak physically, and I'd be laying on the sofa or laying in bed or laying in the hospital bed, I'd be listening to my Power Life script, talking about how healthy I am and how vibrant I feel and how energetic I feel, etc. And this picture on the right-hand side is a picture that my husband took in January 2022, right after my oncologist called me to say, there's no sign of cancer anywhere in your body. It is completely gone. You see, I didn't finish the treatments. I couldn't. The treatment was killing me. And my oncologist was very concerned about that because she thought that it might not have gotten all the cancer. And remember, it was metastatic. Metastatic, it spread, right? I had 5 tumors in my neck and it started in my tongue. It was already spreading. And so her concern was after I became so sick from the radiation treatments that it wasn't going to get rid of it. And I remember being with her in the hospital and I said, don't be concerned. You do your work, I'll do mine. And I'm doing the work on the mind. I will be in a healthy body. I see myself in a healthy body. I am now in a healthy body. Accept it as an accomplished fact. It is already done. It is already done. Not that I'm on my way, not that I will be healed. I am in a healthy body and I feel great. Okay. That is what you focus on. Now, this is a picture of the home that I was raised in, because sometimes people assume that others that are living an incredible life now were raised with a silver spoon in their mouth, if you will, as a term. Not true. My parents struggled. I actually met with my cousin yesterday from Toronto. She came up to Ottawa and she asked me the question. She said, did your mom work? Now she's 3 years older than me. We didn't see them a lot when we were kids, but I said, yeah, my mom worked the whole time that I knew her or she was on this planet. She said, what did she do? And I said, well, she was working in a factory and then she worked as a checkout clerk in a grocery store. My father was a janitor and, used to drive trucks. He did a variety of different jobs. So they would do what they could. I mean, we were blessed. We had a home, but it was 600 square feet, and I'm not complaining at all. I'm grateful. I'm grateful for it all. I'm grateful for my parents. I'm grateful for the way that I was raised. I'm grateful for what we had at that time. You see, being appreciative will cause your life to appreciate. So you have to appreciate your life and every part of it. I love Tootie's brilliant question. Tootie's one of our long-standing, very devoted clients. She asked me recently in one of our classes, she said, how do you know what your deep-rooted or paradigms or beliefs are? And the answer to that question is, notice what your thoughts are when you go to do something or you think about doing something. Like let's say even as you're walking this presentation and you're seeing, different pictures or you're hearing different responses and you're thinking, well, I would love that, but that's never going to happen. Or, oh, it's too late for me, or I'm too young, or I'm not educated enough, or some other. This is how you pay attention to what thoughts are popping up. You pay attention to how you're feeling. And one of the most valuable ways to really determine what deeply rooted beliefs are results. You see, in 1995, when I had the realization that I recognized that there was a belief deep within me that I wasn't worthy of love, that came from me deciding, here I am going through another relationship breakup. There's something common in these relationship breakups. That's me. I'm the common denominator. So what's going on within me that I'm attracting the relationship but not keeping it, or I'm not experiencing a very loving, respectful, kind, committed relationship? And I realized it was me. Right? It's like if you want to know where the problem is, go look in the mirror. But if you want to know who's going to help you with the solution, go look in the mirror. It's the same person, right? It's the same person. So would you believe it's critical to your success that you get aligned and stay aligned? Would you believe that? Is that something that you now, based on what we've talked about for the last hour and 20 minutes, that you believe that? Yeah, absolutely, 100%. Definitely. Oh, I'm glad somebody's asking about, thank you. Thank you for all the comments here as well. Me too. I'm grateful to be healthy as well. Yes, 100, 1,111%. Okay, well, there we go. Definitely, we have to be aligned. We have to notice when we're not as well. You won't be aligned 100% of the time. That's okay. Just understand that. What you want to focus on is being aligned most of the time. And the truth is, it comes down to William James' quote, believe, and your belief will create the fact. But I remember many, many years ago going through all these seminars. I met Bob Proctor in 1979. I went to his seminar, and then he offered an 8-week seminar, and I signed up. I didn't even know if my credit card would allow, because I was up to the hilt in my cards, but I just felt intuitively or instinctively guided. I got to take this program. I got to take this program. And I took the program, and I'm so glad I did. I mean, it really saved my life and changed my life. And when I was finished with that 8-week program, I signed up for the next program. He was doing it again. It was the same thing. I'm signing up. I'm doing it again. And I did it again. And then when he finished that, he offered it again. I just put it on repeat, repeat. If he recommended a book, I would buy it and devour it. If he recommended audios, I would buy those and just, saturate my mind. In some ways it becomes an unraveling of the layers of the stuff and the paradigms that are there, that we really get to the core of who we are, the greatness that's within us. But sometimes we need help. Many times we need help to get there. And I'm certain you appreciate that. Very likely why you're here today. So what I want to do next is I want to explain this new concept, this new offer that we've come up with, and then I want to take some questions from you as well. So here's what it is. It's called the Aligned Audit. Aligned Audit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take you over to the page that we created to show you what this is, because this is very much what we've been talking about here today. Now, as I mentioned, this idea came to me yesterday. So the video that you're seeing on the screen here, I recorded this morning because I'm wearing the same clothes. I wasn't wearing this yesterday. So this is all brand new. And the idea behind it is to help you get the awareness to notice where you're blocked or where you're not aligned or what your paradigms are. Because it's easy for me to see. Like, I can have a conversation with you. You can come here and spend some time with me, and I will know where your blocks are. Quite often it's in the questions that you ask or the statements that you say or the energy that you're carrying. And so it's not that you're stuck, you're just simply not aligned. So the Aligned Audit is designed to help you understand where your blocks are. So how it works is like this. If we go down this page, you're going to see this is really what the process involves. It starts with you invest in yourself. It is $297, which is my belief is cheap. It's cheap, but very, very valuable. And once you invest, you're going to go to a questionnaire. And this questionnaire is designed to help determine where your blocks might be. So there's several questions that you're going to be asked. Take your time to answer them. Now, it says you could do it in about 3 to 5 minutes, but I really want you to take your time to do this. Now, after your purchase, you're going to be immediately directed to what's called a questionnaire, or the quick form, that's going to ask you about you. And they are questions where you type in your answers. And once you do that, we get notified, I get notified, and then I'm going to go through all the answers myself. I personally, I'm going to go through all of your responses. And then I'm going to create a personalized video for you. And I'm going to do this for everyone. Obviously, this is going to take a lot of Peggy time, but that's okay. I'm ready to do it. Now, we are going to make it available for a certain number of people, and then we're going to have to shut it down so I can get caught up. So there may be times when you come to this page, it's not available because we are booked up, because this does take my personal time. So I'm going to review all your responses and then create a video for you where I'm going to talk about you, where I feel that there may be some blockage or some alignment issues, but more importantly, I'm going to give you recommendations, right? What to do about it. So you're going to walk away with some clarity, confidence, and a renewed sense of momentum. Like, I think back to 1995 when I had the realization that I was blocked because of a belief that I wasn't worthy of love. If I never dealt with that, would I be married today to Denis and have this wonderful relationship? Not likely, right? A lot of people have beliefs about money and success. This is definitely one area where a lot of people struggle and they are not even aware, but your answers are going to reveal that for me. I've specifically created these questions that are going to draw out what those blocks are. You may even be aware of what they are when you're typing this in, but where the real value comes in is you being honest with these answers to the questions, and of course, with the response and the personalized guidance and the feedback that you're going to get from me. That's where the real value is. So you can take a look at that. Take a look at the alignedaudit.com. That's what I registered the domain name right away. Roddy will put it in the chat box if he hasn't already, which I suspect he has, the alignedaudit.com, and get yourself in there. Now, what we declare is that we're going to take about 72 hours to get back to you, and maybe sooner if you're one of the first to go in there today, or it may take, if it's a Friday that you go in and you fill it in, it might take us till the following Tuesday or Wednesday, but I'm going to be on them. I'm going to be watching them. I'm going to be going through your responses with a fine-tooth comb and giving you that personalization, that personal feedback for you. I've never done this before. I'm not sure how this is going to go from my time requirement point of view, but I'm willing to do it. And I'm very excited about it. And I'm very excited to serve you in this capacity because I really believe it's going to be exceedingly valuable for you. Okay. How many of you are interested in the aligned audit? How many? Yeah. All right. Okay, good. Bobby's yes. Sharon, yes. Regina, yes. Yeah. There was something intuitive within me. Kathleen, good. Jesus, Bobby, I am. Yvonne, yeah, it is a great offer, Yvonne. Absolutely. I feel really good about this. Connie, yes. I really feel this is going to be a very, very popular offer. So you're the first to hear about it. We haven't told anyone. The only ones that knew about this prior to 1:20 this afternoon was Roddy and Kayla and myself. So yeah, definitely. Okay, so get in there. A lot of people are interested. I knew they would before we release it to the world. So get in there, register for it right away so that you don't have to answer the questions right away. Just get registered so that you hold your spot. And then I'm going to watch for your responses that are going to come in and then give you your video. So what we'll do is I'll email it to you so that you have it. I'll create the email response. It's going to take me some time, as I said, and then I'm going to upload it and then we'll send you the video. It's only for your eyes only. No one else will see it. It's very private and we'll make sure that we take care of that. Thank you, Jackie G. You're so sweet. Always so sweet. Yeah, that's right. Kayla wrote, this is the tool everyone's been asking for. It's finally here. Yeah, absolutely. It's true. Thanks, KK. Okay, now I did see a question that came in a moment ago. I'm going to grab that one. Regina says, I make good progress on my goals, but only to then be knocked down again, which makes me doubt myself. And I ask myself whether it's actually possible to succeed. Any advice on handling setbacks and getting a steady success? That's a great question. All right, questions are starting to come in. Okay, I'm just going to grab a throat lozenge here. Been talking a lot today. We had a lot of classes today and a lot of calls. So, okay. So this is not an uncommon one as well. Okay. I make good progress on my goals, only get knocked down again. Absolutely, that happens. The reason is because of the paradigms, right? The paradigms will win if you give them energy. I'm looking on my desk here because I had a piece of paper on my desk the other day. I put it away, but it was something that Bob Proctor had sent to me. And this was a response that Bob had sent to me. Bob and I became, really good friends. I started studying with him in January 1979. And, we really got to know each other really, really well. And so, if I was working on something or feeling challenged with something, he was my guy. He was like my go-to guy, my friend, my mentor. And one time I had asked him about a particular goal that I was going for. This is going back many, many years now. And he basically sent back a response saying, quit screwing around. He didn't use the word screwing, by the way. It was a little stronger than that. I won't tell you what the word was, but you can imagine, which is kind of funny because Bob never talked like that, to other people. And he's like, quit around. And he said, like, you're in your own, what you're doing is and this is related to Regina's question, you're allowing the paradigm to win, right? And like the thing is, this is a really important understanding. Like there's a quote by Neville Goddard that Bob Proctor used to put in his presentations, and it was something that, at the moment that you decide to do something you've never done before, your paradigm will put up a royal battle, and it'll start to fight you. I'm just going to see if I can find the sheet of paper where I have that particular quote of Bob's. I used to keep it right here in my drawer. And he basically said that, your paradigm will put up a royal battle and it'll fight you. But then the quote goes on and it says, and it will continue to fight you. You see, a lot of people don't understand that part. And I remember asking Bob, I said, well, when does it stop fighting you? And he said, never. That's not the answer you want to hear, right? Never. It's like the kid that doesn't want to hear what the parent, like, I don't want to hear that. It never stops. But why? Why does it never stop? And it never stops because of what Robert Collier wrote about in this book. It's a part of you. It's there. So when you're making progress, it's not uncommon to get knocked down again, right? Sometimes to feel like you're moving in a backward motion. And I remember there was a story that Bob told one time about these fishermen. And this is going to illustrate the point, okay? It's going to definitely illustrate the point. I'm going to see if I can find a marker in a piece of paper so I can show you what I'm talking about. So there's a couple of guys who wanted to go on a fishing trip. And so they made a decision that they're going to do this trip, but the lake where they were going to go fishing was way up north, very remote, and the only way to get there was they had to fly from their city to go to this remote location and in a small airplane, then rent a car and take a canoe and portage through the woods to get to the lake. That's the only way that they could get there. So not easy to get there, but apparently the fishing was some of the best in the world. So they made a decision that they're going to go to this particular lake. And so they fly in, they get their rental car, they drive up to where the road is, and they park their car, at the side of the road. They take the canoe off the roof of the car. One guy's holding one end, the other guy's holding the other end of the canoe. It doesn't really weigh that much. It might have been, I don't know, whatever, 30-pound canoe. No, it has to be more than that. Maybe a 50-pound canoe. And so they're walking along, and one of the guys falls over on his ankle and he sprains his ankle. And so it's like, it's okay, it happens, it is what it is. Let's just keep going. And he decides to keep going. Well, as he's walking, carrying this canoe, which felt relatively light when they started, feels really heavy now. It's really feeling heavy, this canoe. And so what's happening is they're on their journey, but it's feeling like it's a lot harder than what they thought it would feel like. And unexpected things have happened, like falling over on his ankle, along the journey. But life's like that, right? Sometimes unexpected things, like the whole experience of diagnosed with metastatic cancer is like, where the hell did that come from, right? That was unexpected. In fact, I was like, what? It was a really, disbelief. I just wasn't believing, which was fine because I didn't accept it as part of who I am. It was something that was happening and I just accepted that, but I knew what I needed to do, and that was just see myself healthy. So these guys are going along and they're carrying their canoe and they're going along through the woods, and all of a sudden they get through a clearing and they can see the lake. So it's like, wow, our goal's right there. It's right in front of us. And they go a little bit further and there's like this 50-foot drop, a cliff right there. They're like, what the heck? How do we get to the lake now? There's this big drop off here. But what they had to do was, so when they got to that point on their journey that there was this big drop, they actually had to go back around another area and go another route. And that's what they had to do to get to the lake. So the example of that story, this was a story that Bob Proctor told years ago. The story is really to help us understand that when we set a goal, quite often the getting there is going to be a little more challenging than what we expect. Also, some things might happen along the way that are unexpected. And you have to be flexible and you have to go with the flow and you have to stay focused on the goal, right? Even when you get to a point where you can see it, it's like, I'm almost there. And then you have to go backward. So when I see Regina's question here about making good progress on my goal, but only then to be knocked down again, it's like it happens, right? You just got to go with the flow, go with the flow. The part that we don't know, and I don't think we'll ever know, is that gestation period. Like when I mentioned earlier in today's call that Bob Proctor in 1974 set a goal to be in every country in the world. He didn't say when, because he knew enough that you set goals as if they're already done, right? This is done. I'm operating a business that is, in every country in the world. It took until 2020 for him to accomplish it, but he never let go of that goal, never lost sight of the goal. So however long it takes is however long it takes. Look at Rory McIlroy. Like, what a great example of persistence, right? Anybody watch the Masters on Sunday? Like, wow. And if you weren't in tears when he was in tears, well, you got to check for a pulse because, I mean, I was sitting there crying, like my husband was crying, like, and my friends were all texting me going like, oh my God, I can't believe what just happened. 14 times he played in the Masters. 14 times. Now, he'd already won 3 major tournaments and he wanted to get the Grand Slam. And him securing the Masters in that green jacket meant that he had the Grand Slam. And man, it was tough. Like even before that tournament started, I said to Denny, because we were talking about who's your favorite to win. Now, he wanted the Canadian to win, Connors, but I wanted Rory. I love Rory. I've been a fan of Rory for many, many years. I said, Rory McIlroy, he's my guy. But in the beginning, he wasn't winning, right? But then he got engaged again and turned it around. But 14 times. So when he dropped, I mean, he ended up in a playoff situation where at one point during the day on Sunday, in the final day of the tournament, he was 4 shots leading. That's major. That's a big lead. And then to get to a point where they finished the tournament and he was tied and he had to go into playoff, like, oh, like it's hard to believe, right? Is this really happening? And then he shot a 3 on a 4 par hole and of course he won. And he dropped down on the ground and there was such pent up emotion that was within him that he released in that moment. And it was so profound and such a great example of Regina's question as well. As you make good progress, think about Rory. He's out there. He's a great player, one of the best in the world, but yet, not quite there, not quite there, not quite there. And then bam, and so get knocked down, knocked down. You could look at any single person on this planet that has created success or is known for their success. Every one of them been knocked down. Not once, not twice, likely multiple times. Okay, likely multiple times. So you will get knocked down. It's part of the journey. And when it happens, it's like, okay, what will I learn from this? What will I do now? Get back up. Just get back up, get back up, get back up. That's what you have to do. So it's just a matter of realigning yourself. That's why I love this block so much. What would I love? What would I love? What would I love? What would I love? It's a great question to ask yourself when you get knocked down. Okay, we have a couple more questions that have come in. This one's from Yvonne. What can I do working on my paradigms and beliefs? I'm aware of them, but I do not know how to reshape them. The way to create new paradigms within your mind, within your subconscious mind, is through repetition, right? You've got to bring it in. And that's accomplished through study. It's accomplished through applying what you're learning right here. Like anyone that signs up for alignedaudit.com, that's a valuable thing for you to do. Why? It gives you more awareness, right? And then I'm going to give you some suggestions on what to do as well. Power Life Script, I've mentioned that already. To be aligned, I asked everyone earlier, what's that feel like now that you're living the life that you imagine? What did you do? You went to the feeling, right? People were typing it all down the right-hand side of the screen all their expressions of what it felt like now that they were living their dreams. You have to get aligned and stay aligned. You got to get aligned and stay aligned, but you have to know. You have to know what that's really like, right? Oh, I like what Eric wrote is or wait a minute, where'd it go? Lily wrote, he most likely read Peggy's books. I like that. Okay. Next question is from Kim. How many questions in the quiz? How long does it take to complete? What does it matter? What does it matter? 12, I think. Like 12 questions in the quiz. How long it takes is how long you take. I don't know. Like somebody might take 3 minutes. I hope not. I hope you take a little longer. And it depends. It depends on you. You take your time. You have as much time as you want to answer the questions. Don't take months or years, but take as much time as you want. And, and you'll notice what the questions, I wrote them all, say to you, be honest and take your time. Be honest, share with me as much as you want, but take your time. Okay, Lily says, is it possible to negotiate with the royal battles? Talk sense into them. I like that. Requests demand the royal battle to pause or stop, or these battles show us where we need to face something. Yeah, they'll always reveal something to you as well, but they're there. They're just there. Is it possible to talk some sense into them? Let them go. You know what Bob used to say? Let them die of malnutrition. How do they die of malnutrition? Don't give them any energy. Like it's just there. Do I give the energy that I'm not worthy of love? No, it's there. It's a part of me. It was there. It's quiet. It's, pushed down into some lower, deeper part of who I am. Not giving it any more energy. It's done. It's gone. It's in the past. All right. Okay. I think we got all the questions there, Roddy and Kayla. Yes, yes. Okay, what did you guys love? I'm going to ask you a question. What did you love about today? Give me some feedback. What did you love about our time together here today? Or was there something that you heard today? Either answer or both answers. Oh, thanks, Eric. You're such a sweetheart. I just love you. It's like, what did you get out of today? Was there something? Yeah, thanks, Catherine. Was there something that triggered a thought or an idea within you, perhaps an understanding? All right. The clearance. Okay, good. Brightness. Okay. Believe and succeed. Okay. 9 years, but you gave me new perspective. Thanks, Bobby. I appreciate that. Yeah, I mean, I studied with Bob for so many years and I loved his simplicity as well. I learned the alignment is truly key and it is what I need to get better at. Beautiful. I love that. Okay. Let's see. Awakening. All right, Lily, I love that. For sure. Thank you. Okay, thanks, Masked Mystic. The deep dive into alignment. Thank you. Oh, you're so sweet. I love that. Yes, Eric, no matter what, we have a choice to put our desires in the forefront of our minds. Absolutely. Uplift. Okay, take the paradigm seriously. Daily discipline, Maggie. Yes, very true. Thank you, Maggie. Okay, Bernie says, a couple of months ago, you inspired me to manifest my first nonfiction book. Yes, The Caring Genes, Activating the Power of Love, Art, Wonder, and the Joy to Transform Yourself and the World. I love it. Look at that. Beautiful idea. Very excited that it was released yesterday. Nice. Now I need to manifest the sales and the TV interview on Oprah. Just see it done. Accept it as an accomplished fact. It's already done. Oprah would be grateful to have you on. She'd be lucky to have you on. Oh, thank you, Caroline. Thank you, Jackie G. Yes, you're right, Hara. The consistency is important to keep us aligned. Alignment is what I get out of the inspiration. Billionaire Pete, I love that. Another great student, great manifester. Oh, thank you, Marie. I appreciate that. Okay, let me go. There's one more question that came in. Lise says, what is the best way to shift a belief instantly using emotional impact? If you are aware I'm not worthy of love, how can you do an emotional impact on yourself and shift that quickly? Brilliant question. Okay, we can wrap it up with this question because it's such a good one. So when I had the realization, I realized that what did I need to believe? So this is what I did. I asked myself this question. What do I need to believe in order to have, and you can use that question on anything. What do you need to believe in order to have what, fill in the blanks, right? What do I need to believe in order to have a loving, committed, romantic relationship or whatever it is that you want? I needed to believe that I was worthy of love. Now that's for me, right? So I needed to believe that I was worthy of love. So what did I do? I am worthy of love. I am loving, I'm giving love, and I'm receiving love. It's just a matter of declaring that, but embracing the emotion of that. Like when you say the words, I am worthy of love, you feel yourself being loved, right? So that's important. It has to have that emotional connection to the words. I am worthy of love. So what I did was I impressed that into my mind over and over again. That's when the Power Life script came to be. All right, thank you. Jennifer says, how do I shift the belief that I don't know much as my peers in my career I'm trying to get into? That's an identity thing. That's a self-concept thing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter at all. We were reading this morning from the Moment of Alignment about a client that I worked with years ago, who at the time was a waitress, and she wanted to build a successful business coaching women. And she didn't have any experience. She had not graduated from school. She was young. She was in her 20s. And I told her that you have to assume the identity of the person that already is a success, right? In whatever endeavor it is that you desire to be in, you have to be that person, think like that person, act like that person. And you do that through the repetition. So it's like an identity. You wake up in the morning like celebrating, this is who I am. I am this person. I choose to be this person. And then show up as that person. And then it doesn't matter what anybody else, it really doesn't matter what anyone else is doing or what they're accomplishing or what they're achieving. The corner of the universe that you have a control over is you, right? You got to see yourself and be that person that already is a success. When you do that, you will attract everything requisite for the fulfillment. All right. Okay, we're going to call it a wrap. I really appreciate you guys so much. Thank you so much. Make sure you get over and get yourself into Aligned Audit, and or go to Power Life Script. Yes, powerlifescript.com. You can find that there as well. Go to my website, Peggy McColl. In fact, Roddy, we need to put the Aligned Audit on the front page of our website because this event is now done. So we can put that on there. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate you. Have yourself a wonderful day. Get aligned and stay aligned, and share with us your success stories too. We love to hear from you. Thank you so much. It's been my absolute pleasure to serve you today. Thanks, guys. Thank you, Kayla. Thank you, Roddy. I appreciate you guys.